We don't want that happening, do we?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I got it. Thank you.
Are we ready, sir? Call this regularly scheduled Union County Planning Board meeting for Tuesday, August the 5th, here at the Governmental Center. I call it to order, and our first order of business will be, I'd like to have a motion that we allow Patrick to be a voting member tonight.
So moved. So moved.
We have a
Second.
motion and a second,
Yes, second.
and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, like sign. All right. At this point in time, we will go into the additions and deletions of the agenda. You've had an opportunity to look at it. Is there anything that y'all would like to set aside or y'all would like to add to our agenda tonight? Hearing no objections, do I hear that we have a motion for approval of the agenda as publicly presented?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We've got a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And all those opposed, like sign. Motion passes. Number 4 then, we have a rezoning petition from the Carolina Developmental Services LLC that's requesting a rezoning classification from R40 to R20. This is containing 153.608 acres being on the tax maps, 2 locations located off of Highway 84 and Wilhelms Road within Sandy Ridge Township.
Just a little more information. Figure out what, you can see the location. This is Airport Road, intersection of Highway 84. I'm sure you're familiar, there is a roundabout going into that location here. Supposed completion date September 8th. For that to be in place, you can see that it is across from the property. This is Highway 84, Wilhelms Road. It goes down in this area, so basically a dead end street out there. This was the piece that was before you last month for review before we done. If you have any other questions, that's pretty much it. There is a copy, I just handed out a copy of the roundabout, so you can see location, because this property is located on the roundabout.
And this handout from the passed out is from last month's rezoning, but I don't know if it reflects exactly how it is, but this particular map is from last week, so it has a good depiction of how the roundabout.
Yes. Who do we have at this point in time who would like to come forward for the LLC and to present the case? If you would, if you'd identify yourself when you come up, please, sir.
Yes, my name is Dan Johnson. I'd like to have a pass out of here before we go into conceptual plan. We're planning on know you're not voting on this subdivision here. We're just gonna rezone, just to show you what we're gonna be doing out there. I know last time Roger mentioned it was, you wanted R20 or whatever zoning it was that, Frank Howard wanted. But then he said, you know, whatever plan he showed you, you couldn't hold him to it anyway, but this is the only logical thing we can do with the property, so. So that's what we do with that. So we're not getting the subdivision approved, I'm just showing you that, that's what we're doing. Anyway, I've had a few shocks since I started doing this. We found this piece of land back maybe a month and a half ago, been looking at it, actually talked with the folks that owned it and came to an agreement on a price. And we based the price on the number of lots that we'd ever get. We came and talked to the planning board. They were saying that the best thing to do would be to just go with the R20 zoning, R20 zoning. We told them we wanted to go with a cluster. So that's what that is, a cluster plan there. But then I was at the meeting last month, and of course you guys voted that down, that subdivision down. Understand it got, or that rezone got approved with the county commissioners last night, so apparently they decided to go with that. So I don't know what the details were, I just heard that. So that was kind of a shock. Okay. So the next thing was, is we came in and talked to the planning board, to the planning department. They said, well, you couldn't go with any more density than that, and you should be able to get 2 units per acre. So we contracted with an engineering company to come up with the yield, the total yield on the property. This is where the big shock came in. We were under the impression that we'd be able to get, well, normally you'd say, okay, 2 lots per acre is gonna give you 306 lots or 308 lots, or whatever it is. But in this case, that's not what works. When you go to a cluster, you have to, anytime that you make your lots a little bit smaller, you have to take all that open space and put it into, all the space under 20,000 square feet, you need to put it into open space. We ended up putting 22 acres extra in open space. And notice on the plan, there's quite a bit of open space. We already had to put 10, which, so that gives a total of right around 40 acres of open space. When you do the lots, we plan on going in with like 75-foot wide lot. And that'd make the lots about 200 some feet deep. If you were to put a 200 acre lot in there, that's what the size would have to be if you just went 20,000 square feet. But then you wouldn't fill up the open space that everyone wants. So anyway, so we decided to go with this, but we believe in open space. And so originally, we were thinking we were going to get about 281 lots after the roads were taken out and like that. Ended up, though, with the way that the property is situated, it's got a road running up to the middle of it, too. We had to rearrange the roads and had to do a lot of math and physics or whatever you do, when you try to figure out how something fit on something. It ended up, originally, we thought it was going to be 1.75 units per acre. But on the first go around, the engineer came up with 209 lots, which was 1.36 units per acre, and we finally ended up with 193 lots. Now, it could change a little bit from that because about halfway through the drawing process, there was a creek discovered, or the remnants of a creek on the, if you're looking from 84 toward the property on the left, there was a creek, or it was just a ditch. But now with the EPA, if there's a ditch there, they think it's a creek, even though they get water in it. But, so we're gonna have to stay away from that because you don't wanna have to go get permits across creeks all the time. Anyway, so we did that, and we ended up with 193 lots. And there's a possibility that we might be able to get 4 or 5 more lots, but that'd be better. As far as the benefits to the county, I don't know if that makes a difference to you guys or not. The lot prices out there from the information that we gathered and what we can do out there would be around $75,000 per lot. Because we're not in Weddington. If we were in Weddington, we might be able to get over 100. This isn't Weddington. This is about halfway between the road and not quite Wesley Chapel. Now I think this Wilhelms Road, I think when Wesley Chapel Incorporated, I think you guys were asked to leave, or did you go into anyway, with 193 lots, this is based on, our lot prices would be 75, so that would equate to a house value of being built there, $275,000 to $325,000. Based on that, that would create about $530,000 worth of taxes to the county on a yearly basis. I'm sorry, 403,000. Now, the lady's been farming the property, she's been getting the benefits of the tax write-off, for the past 3 years, she had to pay that back too. $93,000 would be paid at the time of closing to the county. There's water and sewer on the property, on two sides, all the way across the back of the property. This is sewer, all the way across the back of the property, and then all the way down the side of the property. There's a subdivision that's back to the back side of it that also comes off the same sewer line. It's called Potter's Trace. And it was built some time ago. I think it was on R40, but somehow they've got lots that are the same size that we are. So I don't know what that was, under a smart road,
It was
maybe?
Smart Road.
Smart road, so their lots average 80 feet or something. And they've got a lot of swamp around their property, so they've got a lot of acre space. It's all that swamp. But a lot of our property is gonna be usable acre space also. Okay.
Is that gonna be county water and county sewer, or will that be city water?
County water and sewer treatment.
County water. and sewer.
Yeah, the water's available out in, on Highway 84, 24-inch line, which is a really high power line. And, so there's no, well, matter of fact, at that last meeting, somebody in the audience said that they had some bad water pressure at their house. So I even checked that out. He said there's been no complaints from anybody anywhere about any water pressure problems up there, or any sewer problems. There's no, I even got to check on down the line if there was gonna be any capital improvements that was gonna need to be done for this particular project. They said no, so everything's fine with that. We just have to give our engineers plans. We'll check it.
Dan, were you able to check with the fire department about coverage?
Yeah,
about
yeah,
the
and that was
trails?
one other thing I mentioned too, that's, I've got a copy of all the questions that were asked to me, so I got answers to it. Hopefully. But there might be some new questions from the question I give them. But anyway, the fire department, instead of being Bakers like it is over across the street, it's actually Wesley Chapel. And Bakers is actually funded by dues. One of the last ones, they decided not to go with the tax. But Wesley Chapel was smart, they got taxes on theirs. And with the price of the homes in the Wesley Chapel area, they're flush with cash. As a matter of fact, they got 2 new stations and, of full staff in both of them. In pretty close. And they said if they need help anywhere, then they can call it or Bakers. And everybody always wants to know about how long it takes to do everything. If right now, if the property was already properly zoned, as they should be, had the engineer plans approved from the staff, plan board, it takes about 2 or 3 months after that, you need to get approval for your water control, ponds and all that type of thing for Diener. And that takes 2 or 3 months to do that after that. Then there were plans originally for like 3 compatible builders to be in there, but I think since we're going back to under 200, we just have 2 builders in there. Maybe taking out houses, usually 40, 50 a year, each, people that day. So the build out on the police property will be 2 to 2.5 years. In the meantime, some lots will be coming on, and then after they come on, they'll be building out, and then maybe a year after the last lots are finished, and they're finished. 3 years is about to finish up. Because there's a situation now with water and sewer. Remember back when we had the recession, there were a whole lot of subdivisions sitting around that didn't have, weren't finished. People lost them, so. Anyway, the water and sewer authority, or the water and sewer department came up with a new extension ordinance. It says that if you want to tap onto their water, before you can turn the first shovel of dirt on your property, you have to pay them a capacity fee of $4,290, and that's for the water and sewer. And that goes into an account with them. If you don't finish the project within 5 years, they get the money, and they don't give back to you. Okay, so that was smart on their part. But anyway, so we've got, all that's covered. The planned amenities, at the minimum, we're gonna have a top parking there and walking trail. And then if the builders that are coming in there, they do research to find out if, with people, with the demographics that we sell the houses to, if they want a swimming pool, tennis courts, and a clubhouse, or a combination thereof, they're gonna have to be willing, the people that live there are gonna have to be willing to pay those dues for that. Because there's always maintenance, I mean, and then that makes the price of the lot go a little bit because you have to put all this in. But if they want it, we can put it in, and that's subject to the builders wanting it. But at the minimum, we'd have a top parking there for you and walking trails. And I think the walking trails might be one of the requirements of the plus region, right?
I think it's one that you can choose. You can also choose a swim club in this place.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. And then of course, then we're gonna have streetlights in there too.
Require.
And I'm supposing that the utility cost on those are probably about HOA too.
I'm sorry,
The HOA pays for the cost of those too, right?
for future maintenance.
For future maintenance. Okay. So see, that's no burden on the taxpayers, right? Okay. All right. The next thing's about schools. I had a long conversation with the director of facilities planning at the school. And I don't know what he told you guys, he might have told you something different. Did you ever say when you guys were about the budget?
Well, did we do that again?
Do that, okay, all right, okay, well, anyway, so, this guy's got us in charge of planning and building schools in Union County. We, also discussed the recent redistrict, which you're representing about, and then other possible developments that are in the planning stages in the St. Joe area, which I went over that with him, there was 3 of them I knew about, so I went over that with him. He said that this property is in the Sun Valley Middle and the Sun Valley High District, and would either go to the Wesley Chapel or the Rocky River Elementary School. But he said since they've done this, it sounds a little bit concerned because I talked to him and then they had that lawsuit come out from the people that said that the lawsuit owners apparently they got overturned. But so now this is kind of what he said. He said that if the Sun Valley School, that whole pot of schools we were talking about, that they won't even be on a watch level. A watch level is when they're just watching to see if there's a burst of kids coming into the school. He said that they're not expecting to have a watch level over here until 2017. And the cap level is not expected until 5 years from now. You know, this particular situation, I don't even think those guys last month mentioned this, but I found out that sometime a while back, about 5 or 6 years ago, when that subdivision of St. John's Forest was built, that they do this personally, I mean, or somebody, whoever the property owner was, donated 100 acres.
They were required to get density under the smart road.
Okay, so that was one of the things they agreed to do. Okay, so that's good. So it was, they gave 100 acres of land for schools, and it's actually on Sanford Lane. And the school is only 5 or 6 years, so when they see that this is happening, it takes a 2-year time frame from the time they know they're gonna build a school to they actually get it built. They go through the process of doing the study of when it's gonna happen. And then they go through the bond referendum, I think they can do that, and then they start the school. So he said there's room for three schools on, elementary, middle, high school. And like I said, so that shouldn't be a problem even for the other 2 subdivisions. Okay. All right, okay, roads always comes up, so I was pretty interested about this roundabout. I've noticed them all over the county start putting them in there. Because what they call it, when you come to, they had a situation where they might have thinking about putting a light there, but then it said, that anytime for a light, there's always a choke point. Somebody's having to wait. So they decided to do one of these traffic circles. And so I went over and talked to the been trying to find out about the traffic counts and all that kind of stuff. So I found out that that particular area, what's the name of the road? You know? Will House Road. You got Airport Road, and you got Will Hills Road. Down about 100 feet from there, they did a traffic count, about cars coming through there. There's an average of about 10,000 cars a day up there now. That same road, 84, back in the road, was about 14,000 cars on it when you're in the road. And then there's about 16,000 when you get over to Wedding. So what's happening is people in this area, they're turning a lot on, on the street block. Airport Road, they're going down Airport Road, because, there's that big industrial park down there. Okay? And then also they go up Potter's Road, you get back, people go to Shaw. There's, quite a people live down here, go to Shaw. So anyway, so he's saying that with that roundabout put in there now, that will handle up to 15,000 cars a day. And they're designing it and actually going ahead and building it in two lane. They're gonna start out with a single lane, hash everything out, and then they're gonna come back in at some future point, when the development gets, development or traffic count gets up. When they do that, all they gotta do is go in and take out the markings, and the taxpayers don't have to pay for that. Because what happens is, whichever developer, at the time that happens, when they get to the 15,000 count, then the developer, if some developer wants to go put in a subdivision, they'll get them to pay for the strike, pay the strike. Okay? Because you always get developers to do everything, so. That's what it is, right? But anyway, so that's good. So that, and then that'll take up to 30,000, and then before you get to the 30,000, he says they've got plans to widen the road, widen it forward. So I told him we were leaving some property up in front of our property, a buffer right now anyway, and it could be used as right of way or something like that. But that's on down the road. Okay. As far as water runoff, back several years ago, there was used to have some detention ponds, and you had to keep it on, you didn't have to keep it on site, you just had to slow it down. And everybody decided, you used to have ditch streets, and it was in the ditches. And environmental people like that a lot better, because it just flows down the creek, the grass, and it kind of takes it out of it. Now that we're in more of an urban type situation, we've got curb, gutter, asphalt, concrete, all kinds of things, this impervious area. So now everything gets into the stormwater system a lot quicker, and it leaves the site a lot quicker. So they decided back a couple of years ago that they would come up with something called Phase 2. Now, Phase 2 means that you have to build on-site detention, but you have to actually keep the water on your property for, how long is it, Brandon? 48 hours?
It's not so much the steam things or some of this, but flushing like that for some flushing.
Y'all hear me?
No, we cannot. Would you like to come forward and speak to this issue, please? Thank you.
This is really important that you guys need all the information.
Brandon Pridemore, Arjo Harrison Associates, we're the engineering consultant for Carolinas Development Services. So what Mr. Johnson's speaking about, Phase 2 requires us to look at percentage flush as part of urban development scenarios, which this would be. And then on top of that, they have a mandatory requirement to do the pre and post development analysis for both the, it can either be the 1 year 24-hour or the 2 year 24-hour. I think it's the 2 year 24-hour for this one. And that's on top of the cluster requirement of the 2 and 25 year, although we do have a waiver allowance because we're discharged from floodplain. That's something we've got to look at. But having said that, we're going to have some kind of water quality structure in place in each discharge point regardless. So that is another aspect. But again, the whole idea of the water quality is to provide a settling time for the water, especially when it initially comes off impervious surfaces. And it's basically a filtration system is what the state's looking for.
We don't want to leak in, because you get in trouble for that. And then could you kind of go to slightly about the density situation?
Like most sites,
Because we were expecting a lot more.
like most sites, we take a look at the ordinance, how it's written, and then the factors that weigh in on it are the environmental concerns that we have. We're bounded by streams on two sides of the property. We look at the geometry of the property, which you can see this one's kind of U-shaped and round, not the most efficient way. We always say the most efficient layout is the square or rectangle, and we don't quite have that here. And then we're also contending with some intermittent parcels that are along Wilhelm, as well as interior to the site that we're gonna have to work on to provide access. So when you take all those factors into place, take the ordinance into place, the open space requirements, the water quality requirements, we ended up with a density of approximately 193 units.
193 units.
Yes, sir, and that's give or take, you know, that's just conceptual plan based on preliminary GIS studies and things like that. You know, it could swing either way, it could go up a few lots, it could go down a few lots, but we felt 193 was a good performer number for Mr. Johnson and his client to use. I'm here to answer any questions, so I'll be sitting back here if you have anything else. Thank you.
All right, so, anyway, so that should answer the question about that. What we like to do sometimes, like, we have to put a detention pond of some sort, we like to make it into an amenity, because you don't want just a big wire fence around the thing. You see some of these industrial areas, where you're in a parking lot or over the aquatic center, where they got a big pond down there, they got a big barbed wire fence around it, stuff where we can't get down there. But we like to make a wildlife habitat looking thing out of it, that it's an amenity that people look at, you know, a lot with a walking trail along it, that type of thing. So that's what we're planning on doing with, you know, where our walking trails go.
Where is that?
Well, we don't know yet.
No.
It's gonna be somewhere, it'll be on a usable area. Well, that area will be down in the low area where the pond is. But, so it'll be going down toward the creek, but it'll be out of the floodplain area. I think, I mean, I don't know where you put it. Just wherever the water's going is where we're putting it. And where it goes off the side, just, we hadn't done the engineering yet. But like I said, all we're doing right now is just the zone. All right, and then buffers, what we decided to do too, you know, we've got these houses in the middle there. We decided to actually put some buffers there too. So, you know, because we don't want to be as little a disruption as we are on these more property owners. And then, they will have access if they want to, water and sewer too. I don't know, some of them might already have it, I don't know, but I don't think so. If they do, you know, we'll be running the lines out there, so we'll have to talk to people about that. Anyway, if you got any other questions to me, those were the different questions that, there was another thing too, what uses are on R20, and I'm sure you don't want me to go through that, because, I mean, there's about 25 or 30 different things that could go there. So, if you want to know what that is, I can tell you. But, like I said, our intentions are to put, you need me to have a tractor pull there, I don't know if we're going to have a tractor pull, but, you know,
Does anybody on the board have any questions for Mr. Johnson this time?
So it looks like your main entrance is actually gonna become Wilhelm's Drive.
No. So the main entrance is gonna be the roundabout. I've already talked about that. They will have access to our roads if they wanna go in there. They'll probably make us do some improvements, some improvements along Williams Road.
Your main entrance will be one of the points of exit from the roundabout? Is that what you're saying?
Entrance, no, there's an entrance. There's an entrance and an exit. We'll be going in on the entrance portion and then coming back home on the portion where you come off of.
That's, yeah, it's-
Didn't make sense.
You got a picture of it, don't you?
no, that's not what your plan is
No,
showing.
it says.
No, your entrance is way off.
That's an interesting question. I did speak to John Underwood with DOT, and what he's expecting is that whoever develops this property will create a fourth leg. Right now, their plan is just to do Highway 84 going east-west, and then realigning the airport. Of course, the airport intersection is going to shift over about 250 feet from its current location to the east. And our primary entrance that we're envisioning for us is to come off of that traffic circle or roundabout and create our primary entrance there. And then Wilhelm will be a secondary One of the things that DOT does have concern with is creating too many access points along there, so it's gotta be really coordinated with DOT. And initially speaking, Wilhelm seemed to be the logical choice as an existing cut that'll have to be honored by the DOT with all these improvements coming into play. We do have options to go a little bit to the west, but there's some restrictions with an existing culvert and low line area that way. And then if we go to the east, it's kind of relatively close to the new traffic circle. So our 2 points of ingress and egress are going to be primarily traffic circle number 1 and then Wilhelm number 2.
So your entrance would be at a 180-degree angle to Airport Road?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I didn't know you guys don't have a picture of that, because it's not designed yet.
Yeah, a picture of the roundabout, but also a picture of how you tie into it.
Well, on the map that you handed out, it just looks like it's going east of the roundabout, if I'm reading it correctly.
Roundabout's around all of those.
Yeah, the roundabout's down, just coming back towards Monroe, you come down from Airport Road, the roundabout will be about where he shows that.
Where he shows the
Okay, so the roundabout's gonna be further
It
down.
actually is moving, that's
Okay.
why. This is the existing location where the road was.
Okay.
You're saying it's gonna be right about there?
It will, it'll move and kind of line up with that. That's an existing location. So it's actually, the roundabout is shifting a little bit over.
If you look at the.
If you look at this map, you'll see how the existing location is actually moving just a little bit. And then if you look at his map, you'll see how his roadway is very close to where that line is. That, they're making assumptions of where that connection will be.
It looked like to me that he'd lose lots if it wasn't.
Yeah, if it wasn't, it'd be a problem,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Of course, they'll close the old airport road, so it will no longer be there, so that will be the.
And so DOT says that they would grant y'all direct access to the roundabout.
I've had a lot of discussions with that. I mean, I don't see that as being a problem. They would rather it be that than have an interest close to there somewhere else, and you're gonna have to go through the roundabout anyway if you're going the other way.
Just curious how the residents of Wilhelm's Drive
I'm sure they'll tell you, because they're here.
feel about, yeah, I mean, they're a dead end. They're gonna really become a major thoroughfare for traffic that's coming west to east, because they'll be the first entrance before the roundabout. So I would imagine anyone that lives in the subdivision would be more likely to enter through Wilhelm's than the roundabout, which will kind of disrupt their privacy.
So there probably would be some, I would assume, I don't know how many, we don't know how many.
Did the DOT require you to connect to that road, or was that your choice?
Yeah, I mean, they like connectivity, so they want to connect it to it.
Understand that they're required to have two entrances for a cluster development. That's one of the reasons why they're looking for a second connectivity. This is a proposed cluster. Again, this is a concept, but they want to do a cluster development, and that requires two entrances, two exits.
And so Wilhelm's is gonna be automatically used anyway. It's gonna be utilized as an entrance exit point automatically.
I think there's, what I remember, maybe eight houses, 8 or 9. I mean, if we're gonna, well, I mean, we can put it on the other side, we can put it 100 feet on the other side as far as we're concerned. But I mean, that'll all be when we do the subdivision, you guys can decide about that.
Any more questions? We reserve the right for you to ask you some more questions here in a few minutes. Okay, Dan? Any questions? Is there anyone here that would like to speak in opposition to this proposal, this rezoning notice? I know we have a lot of folks visiting tonight. Anybody that would like to is more than welcome to come up to the podium and address the board if they would like. Because tonight is strictly a rezoning is what it is. It's not a plat, preliminary plat or anything that will be designating this as this. This is just a rezoning from R40 to R20.
Which one's gonna be favored?
if you would come forward, state your name, please.
Dave McCoy.
All right.
The road, Wilhelms Road is really not that wide. It's an older road. I don't see it's gonna be crowded and narrow when we get there. That's all I have for trouble I see out of it. There's more traffic coming in now, the road's narrow. Wide or something like that. That's the only thing I think about.
Dan, are there any plans to widen that road or to do any improvements to that road, or will it remain?
There's basically a 60-foot right way there, so it's a two-lane road, just like we don't have ours. But it's a state maintained road, it looks like they're not maintaining it. I mean, I'll talk to them about that, but I mean, like if they don't do it, they might make us do it.
We just haven't got to that level yet to find out what the true traffic impact's gonna be. That'll be part of the subdivision process itself, for us to iron that out.
But is the width of it now compatible with requirements from DOT for the amount of traffic that will be on it?
My personal opinion is no. But again, I think it's a matter of what DOT uses it. And again, that's part of the discussion with the residents, I think, when we get to that point, and we're talking with DOT, is there something we do with that, the overlay, use the widening on it, to make it a little more compatible, a little more feasible for it to be used? Again, our desire is not for it to be primary interest, but you're exactly right, we can't control people who purchase lots in there, how they decide to access the site. But we do have to make those considerations, and that's one of the things I'm pretty certain we'll have a better discussion with DOT about. If this project moves forward, what do we do with rural homes, or do we focus on something different, as our second connection points? Now, just one thing I'd like to.
I wish you'd come up. It is difficult for guys like me who are older to hear.
Sorry about that. One thing I'd like to put for the record, though, is you have to understand this property is served by Wilhelms Road as well. So that's where DOT is going to have some hesitancy saying you can't access Wilhelms, because currently that's where the access comes from. That's one of the points of interest. So, but like I said earlier from over there, the traffic impact that we're going to be looking at, what kind of improvements are needed, where do we make that second access? Is it really Wilhelms? We've just had preliminary discussions with DOT. We'll get into it with the subdivision design and preliminary plat approval. At that point, we'll get all that mapped out. We'll have to come back for you folks for subdivision approval anyway. At that point, we'll have all the answers in place.
All we're in here for today, I mean, I said it that way, but all we're in here for today is for the rezone.
Right.
We're just trying to show you the conceptual possibility of what it could be. But like I said, we've got to come back before you. If the rezoning goes through successfully, then we have to develop the preliminary plat subdivision plans, which will include all the driveway plans, and present that to Roger and his staff for review, and then present it to you folks for final approval. Right, Roger?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak to this? You're more than welcome to speak. This is not a judicial hearing or anything. You're more than welcome to speak if you like. If not, Roger, you want to come forward?
Did hand you out comments from the schools. If you read that, when Johnson was speaking, the schools did say that would be served by Worcester Chapel Elementary, Sun Valley Middle, and Sun Valley High. This is different from what you saw last month. You went across the street, different schools. And it did mention that 3 schools are at this point below capacity, but it did mention the possibility of 1 capping in 2017. So since there was a negative in this, we did count it against it. I just want to make you aware of that it was kind of a neutral, because there was that one part. We kicked it over, we did count that, it's unfavorable. The staff recommendation is the favorable characteristics of petition is the site is located on NC Highway 84, which is a major arterial in Union County. Second, Union County water and sewer is available
for this site. And thirdly, the adjacent land is zoned and actually being used for R20 across from this being developed. And the, as of last night, the other property across was approved by Commissioner. The unfavorable characteristics of the Union County Land Use Plan does project future land use to be 0 to 1 units per acre. And secondly, the county is currently in the process of a land use ordinance rewrite and creation of legislative conditional zoning. This would allow for adherence to a specific plan. Staff recommendation was favorable, with 155 points favorable and 150 points unfavorable.
Any questions for Roger? Everybody clear on his, on the staff recommendation here?
I have a question for you.
Yes.
The one from last month was approved last night, they said? Would this have changed due to that, or no?
No,
This was done before. Yeah, the recommendation was done before last night's approval, right?
This would have not changed.
That would not have changed?
No.
Okay.
No, it's still favorable.
Talking about the points on the staff's recommendation.
The staff recommendation
No. It wouldn't change.
would not have changed.
Members of the board, do we have any comments or open discussions?
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I have to ask this question if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
The rest of the members don't mind. We've had one person that stood up from the audience that spoke that, was concerned about Wilhelm Road. So are we, myself, to assume that everybody else in here is in favor of it? That's the question I've got with the amount of people that are here. So I assume that everybody else is for it?
Our board member is asking, is everybody else here favorable for it? That's basically what we're asking. I know this generated a lot of interest, obviously. And so we know y'all are very involved and interested in this decision. And he's just asking if y'all would like to espouse y'all's opinion, for, pro, or con. You're all Baptist, I can tell. Because you're not going to speak up in church, I can already tell. But you're more than welcome to come forward and express your viewpoint, whether you're neutral or whether you're for or you're against, because obviously y'all are interested when you came. We just want to make this as open as possible as we can to everyone.
Can I speak from back here?
You can if you'll speak loudly.
I'll try, because I have a hearing problem also, so I'll try to speak loudly. I live in Potter's Trace development, and my backyard goes back up to part of this development. So I knew someday it was gonna happen, and of course I hate to see it happen, because there's a lot of wildlife in here, all of that is gonna go away. Another concern I have is water runoff
Thank you for your comment.
What's
Yes,
your-
Roger. Pardon? Ma'am, we needed a name, if you don't
Oh, I'm sorry.
mind sharing.
I'm Jeanette Moore, and I live at 700 Circle Trace Road. 010,
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir. I'm gonna ask you to come up front, because you're not bashful. I know you, Dan, okay?
Okay. Yeah, we appreciate you saying that about that. Anyway, I checked, Potter's Trace, I was just curious as to how big the lots were out there. Their average width is 80 feet, and the average length, the average depth is 141 feet. So it looks to me like they would be smaller than lots we got out there. Ours gonna be minimum of 15,000. I mean, I know there's some that are bigger, but the average ones are 80 feet, according to the tax. So they,
I think it was in Chapel, it's supposed to be, one house per acre.
we're not in a West Chapel.
I know, but my development is, and I think that is the way it's supposed to be. Something happened along the way, and the property was too developed, so the lots ended up being smaller than they were supposed to be.
Well, that's what he was talking about. He said that was done under the smart road, called smart road, which, that's the way you get more open space. And then, like you guys, you got open space in the middle there. And then I rode through there, a lot of cars. It's all over. But it's, and the houses seem to be closer to the road. They're only about 20 feet from the road. So there were like 3 or 4 cars in a lot of driveways, and, you know, they went out into the sidewalks. Anyway, that's enough. But with us, we were trying to went back, and then 40 feet off the back line. And our lot, they 200 and 250 feet. So when you look at your backyard, I know it goes down like this, and it goes like that. And, I was looking, of course, it's summer's happening, so when you're looking, I was looking between the houses, so you can see, and then you can see, it's pretty big back there. So I've got a.
Dan, we need for you to speak forward here, please.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was
If
talking
you don't
to her.
mind. I know you're being courteous to her, but,
Yeah.
but thank
Well,
you.
she's the one expressing the interest, but anyway, I don't know how it happened, but their lots are smaller than our lots are, and I know she said she'd like to look at it 1 acre lots, but she'd be looking at it 1 acre lot from a 12,000 square foot lot, so.
It was a cluster.
Huh?
It was a cluster.
It was a cluster. We had cluster too. Okay. Well, now, the thing about it.
When West Chapel done, it was done through the county.
Now, for some reason, see, they didn't put any buffer between us and between our property and their property. They don't have a cluster. I mean, they don't have buffers. We do.
They didn't have to.
You know,
That's building.
like I said, in addition to our lots being 200-some feet deep, there's also a buffer behind it too, a natural buffer.
And that's for one house,
Yeah.
200 by 215 for one.
But ours is gonna be like 75 feet wide, but they're gonna have the same setback, 12 feet on each side. So, and it's gonna be 250 feet. For a rectangular lot.
How many houses are that?
That's each lot. A rectangular lot. Now, some of them are in curves, so they, I'm sorry, some of them are in curves, so they're gonna be wider. And then on the outside curve, they'd be narrower in the front, bigger in the back, or narrower in the back, wider in the front.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, I would love for you to come up where we could all hear
I
you.
would be more than happy to, I'm not bashful.
And I'm sorry, I shouldn't have used that word. That was not.
No.
We have a staff member that wants to say something, I think.
Yes, I just want to point out, we're debating specifics, and you really can't, because this is a rezoning for the property from R40 to R20. They can talk all day long about specifics, but the reality is the specifics don't come until the rezone is approved. So I don't know that you need to debate the specifics, but they really can't give you details state the specifics because you can't hold them to it. I just want to make sure you're aware of that.
All right. State
Then
your
I
name.
probably won't ask my question.
Go ahead. It's,
No, I just wondered, in generalities, not with this proposed layout that may or may not happen, when you go from an R40 to an R20 and a cluster, well, I can't even go there. Go from R40 to R,
go ahead and ask your question. It's all right.
I'm trying.
Feel free. However you want to state it. R40, 1 acre, R20
how does it
cluster.
change the type of housing, the pricing of the housing, and will something on an R20 be consistent with something like Stone, what is that one down the street? Blackstone, is there a Blackstone down the street?
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's a
And how, is that an R20? Do we know? It is an R20. Okay, I can't get the concept of having it a lot more dense
Yeah,
than,
the stone bridge, that Blackstone Bridge, the houses in there are probably 500,000.
and I missed it because he had it back to us.
I know.
The price, that's okay, the price of the lots generally,
I don't know.
average.
There's more, but I mean, their lots were probably 100 at least when they started.
but on an average, an R20 lot in that area would be,
And Weddington.
well,
Yeah.
where we are.
Well, anywhere when you get closer to Weddington, they're gonna go up. I mean, I saw some.
What did you
houses
say the price of these?
75.
75.
Yeah.
And so the average price of a house
It'd
maybe?
be like 260 to 350.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, that's all I have.
Thank you.
That's the kind of industry standard, but it's about 20 to 25% of the cost of the house is in the lot.
Mr. Black.
We have a name.
Oh, yes. Could we have your name, please?
Oh, Virginia.
We found out when you get
All right. Any more questions for anyone? And I respect staff's opinion on this because of the fact that we are rezoning this. If we're voting to rezone it from RA40 to RA20, R20, excuse me. And so that's what we're here for, and in no way, and I want all the residents out there to understand this, this is not a Board of Adjustments meeting where you can require them to meet what they have planned here. This is a supposition only, and I remind the board of that. All this is we're rezoning it, and we're not approving a subdivision plat or 193 lots or anything of that nature. We're strictly voting to rezone it from 40 to 20 is what we're doing. Mr. Black.
Mr. Chairman, if I could do a commercial for our new UDO. In the future, we will be able to do that. That it's part of the rezoning. We could have a detailed site plan that shows the lots, that shows the access points, shows the buffering and all those things. So that's one reason we've been pushing for the UDO. This kind of discussion that we just had, we could have had that under, not the present ordinance, but under the new ordinance, so that the rezoning not only would have rezoned the property, but would have locked us into a detailed site plan. So I just wanted to put that commercial in. We don't have it yet. Hopefully we'll have it in November, but I couldn't resist the opportunity to put that plug into the new ordinance.
Yeah, I can't resist the opportunity to say we can't wait on all these until you guys might get something through. We're not through yet. We don't know it'll be in November, and we can't wait on everybody's application until y'all are through. So that's my commercial,
I
so.
didn't mean it as
Right.
just a piece of information, because we've talked so much about it, how nice it would be, that in the future we'll have that tool, so that hopefully that'll make your job easier.
And it will, because, I mean, I know Dan and a man of his word and all, but still yet situations change, conditions change, and all we're voting for is a rezoning here tonight and not on this plat. And it makes it difficult for all of us. I'll be quite
And
candid.
it was just for representation of open space, because that's what we're giving up, we get up 22 acres of open space, plus another 15. Whatever, 37 acres, 38 acres.
Yes, Patrick.
Roger, I don't know if I missed this or not, but on your unfavorable characteristic, it has 0-1 DU/AC. Can you explain what that is?
Yes, 0 to 1 dwelling units an acre.
Dwelling units per
0 to
acre.
1.
Thank you.
Any further questions? If not,
I don't necessarily have a question, but just a couple comments. From my opinion, it seems like there's going to be quite a lot of growth very quickly out in that area with subdivision that was recently approved, and then adding another close to 200 homes if this area goes through. Personally, I don't see why 1 acre would not be sufficient for the size property that we have here, especially considering the impacts that it will have on the streets, the existing subdivision, and eventually, not necessarily this year or next year, but eventually the schools, which we always know that progress is going to happen, and I don't begrudge the builders. That's your occupation, and that's where you make your living, and I certainly understand that. And I don't begrudge you making a living, but I would like to see that remain at 1 acre per unit, just because of the impact that it will have on the area. And if it necessitates perhaps a little bit higher price home, so be it, but I think that certainly you should be able to live within a 1 acre area in that area.
I make a motion that we approve this as proposed.
We have a motion on the floor that we do approve this rezoning as presented to us to R20. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? Is the chair allowed to express his opinion? All right. I'm going to be real gentle. I understand what you're saying, and I do agree with you, because when you concentrate a tremendous amount of people in one area, it causes congestion, and it places a lot of stress on your roads and all. The thing that I would counter that with is, if you stay with 1 acre lots, it'll probably yield out maybe 100 to 110 residences. Probably they'll have to go higher price, they'll have to go to another market. But if there's 100 homes sold there, and we're in an area that's growing, a lot of residential development, not industrial development. But if you have 100 homes versus 193, what you have done is pushed 93 more homes out further into the rural area or into Monroe. And that's the way I look at it a lot of times, is what is the best utilization for the property, and that's, maybe that's selfish on my part, being in agriculture. But I respect and understand your opinion also. I really respect it.
Well, and I say that because I think that, as you look down Weddington Road, there is an enormous amount of property that is undeveloped. And certainly at some point, as farmers decide that they're going to retire, that they're going to sell their property, they're, for whatever reason, there's certainly a lot of potential, and it seems like the natural course of action is to sell to a large home builder. And what I see so often is these pieces of property that are zoned for 1 acre all of a sudden become zoned at a half an acre, and people that, perhaps, for a good example, people that bought property on Wilhelms, thinking that what will be around them will be 1 acre, that's what they bought with the intention of the surrounding property being, all of a sudden to be changed literally overnight to a half acre and doubling the amount of property and the amount of people that are going to be in their area. I mean, certainly, as Ms. Moore stated, she understands that growth will happen. She understands that, at some point that property will be developed, but her expectation, I believe, is that it would be developed as 1 acre lots, not half acre lots. And again, by doubling the amount of homes that would be put on that property, it does increase the traffic, the congestion, the impact on schools, the impact on fire and support services. And I think, with respect to existing property owners, it should remain where it is. And again, I don't begrudge the builders making a profit and making a living, but to be doing so within the guidelines of what that property was intended for. So I don't know if I can make a motion to deny on top of Russell's motion to approve the project, but if I could, I'd like to make a motion to deny the rezoning at this point.
Well, we have a motion on the floor. We'll have to vote on that one first.
Say anything. Is it too late for me to say anything?
No, ma'am, it's never too late in this round.
If you go about 200 feet towards Western Chapel School, there's gonna be 105 houses built in there. And if you have that, and I believe I understood him to say 192 houses, we won't have a road to go in, because every house has to have 2 cars. And you take 105 down here, then you take 192 up here. You'll soon have 1,000 cars in that rural area, and it just can't be. And I don't know if you know about the other, housing development or not, but it's just 200 or 300 feet down the road, that's it.
Are you talking about across in front of this piece?
If you go towards Western Chapel School,
It would be on the right?
yes, on the right, and it's, probably from Wilhelms Road, 1,000 feet.
Whittington Creek.
Whittington Creek.
Yeah, Weddington Creek.
So it's 110 lots.
And that's under whose jurisdiction?
That's the subdivision.
It's zoned R20.
When did we approve the rezoning on that one?
It did, it was already zoned R20.
Across the street is R20.
That road cannot handle all that. I mean, it just can't, and you're running the rest of it down to build all these houses.
I understand your frustration. I do.
Well, I wouldn't mind a few, but you get 300 houses in a little section right there. There's no room. And Wilhelms Road will be to all pieces because it's going in and out. And if you make another entrance up there for the roundabout, that's another problem, because it's gonna cut across the whole, there's homes there. And unless they sell to this, group, then it just can't be done. And people live there.
We've made Union County too nice of a place to live, ma'am. That's what we've done. You need her
Close to
name.
Charlotte, so.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. We had a second, correct?
That way. Yep.
We have a second, yes. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Let's raise our hand. And all those opposed likewise. Motion fails. All right. Well, we need a denial motion on this. Will not. All right. Thank you, Robert, Rules of Order over there. Okay. It has failed 4-3 is what it has done. And so, therefore, it's denied.
It goes on to the commission.
Yes, you do have, it does go to the commissioners as the one that was in here last month and that they approved. And so y'all will have that right to go to them because they can override any decision that we've been made.
Where you guys?
Pardon?
Not for rezone.
Where you guys?
Uh,
I mean, you get plans.
When you get what?
If we were to get plans approved, we'd have to come back to you guys.
If you get the, no, if you get the commissioners to approve it from 40 to R20, then you would have to submit the plans back to them and you would be before us for a plat review and a preliminary plat hearing and final plat hearing, correct?
Correct.
All right. And that's what it'd be. But your next step would be to the county commissioners. And I tell you this, and I tell the folks that you will want to watch your newspapers and find out what the agenda is, or go online and follow what the agenda is, and you can speak also when you go to the county
We
commissioners.
send certified notices out again.
Yeah, they will
If you're
send.
adjacent, we'll send them out.
All right. Yes.
I just want to say that it's anticipated that the hearing on this with the county commissioners will be September 2nd. That's not, we'll send out something to you to let you know the exact date, just so that you're aware. It's anticipated that meeting will be September 2nd.
The day after Labor Day.
Yeah, the day after Labor Day. So if something changes, you'll get something, or at least the adjacent property owners get something in the mail. But right now, that's anticipated.
Thank you very much. All right. Let's go back to our agenda. And I will probably have to borrow somebody's agenda to get right where we're at. Oh, okay. And this time we will, thanks for bailing me out there, okay?
We've got some scheduling issues here that we need to. First of all, we've got several plans, the comp plan, the Union County, we got the comp plan, 2025 comp plan update coming up. We've got the Union County multimodal transportation plan, and we've got the Union County Unified Development Ordinance. This schedule, notice that, and I'll get to the September 2nd in just a minute. Let me say this. The Board of Commissioners, they usually meet on the first Monday of the month. First Monday of the month will be September the 1st. Their policy is when it falls on the holiday, they move to September the 2nd, which is the day that we would normally meet. So one thing we have to do, I think, is change our meeting because, as Brian pointed out, this particular item will be on their agenda on September the 2nd. So we will need to be there to present that. So keeping in mind that because of that conflict, we will need to change our meeting date from September the 2nd. Now let me go back. All along, Brian's went over the three modules, module 1, 2, and 3 of the Unified Development Ordinance. The consultants are going to be in town on August the 18th, and they're going to be at a workshop. And August 18th is a Monday. At 5 o'clock, we're going to have a workshop over here in the personnel training room we met in before. The UDO consultants will be there presenting Module 4 and kind of tying up Module 4 with the first three modules. Also at that meeting, the consultants for the land use, the comp plan update and the transportation plan will be there, and they'll present at that workshop that. And I thought it would be an excellent opportunity to have kind of a joint meeting with the Board of Commissioners at their workshop where y'all would have a chance to hear that Module 4, which is the most important module, from the consultants. That would help us in a scheduling situation. So, but first, if the board so decides to do that, you would have to tonight schedule a special meeting of the planning board to occur on August the 18th at 5 o'clock. If the board so desires to do that, then we've also got the September 2nd meeting date change. Another point, again, I know this is going to get kind of complicated, is in the early part of September, the land use and transportation consultants is having a community input meeting. They haven't set a date for it yet, but it's sometime in September. The reason I point that out is, depending on where y'all set the September meeting, it would be possible, if you so desired, not to necessarily set that, whatever date they set for that public meeting, but if some of you wanted to attend, no more than 3, would be a chance to get some of that. But I just want to put that out. So, first of all, we need to move the September 2nd meeting date sometime in September. And, you know, you could move it to Wednesday, or you could move it the following week, or whatever time that best fits y'all's schedule. But sometime in September, we need to meet. And you'll notice that in that third bullet down, the 2nd September without a date, I've got planning board recommendations for a UDO, a comp plan, and a transportation plan. So, and the reason we have that in there is we set the meeting for the board to go to the August 8th, where they'll get the input from the 4th module. So y'all have heard 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then also you would get the presentation from the consultants on the comp plan. And if the board moves the September meeting back such that that input meeting's available, there'll be another chance to get it. So it's our goal, which is a lofty goal, is in September, will the planning board
Excuse me.
make a recommendation, especially on the UDO, that's the most important thing. But if it works out, also on the comp plan and the transportation plan. So if I'm been as confusing as possible, one reason why we need to do that is if you go down, is that, especially with the UDO, the Board of Commissioners cannot hear the UDO until the planning board makes a recommendation, or till 45 days passes from once you receive it. And so, we'd like to schedule a public hearing by the Board of Commissioners, you know, at that first meeting in October. But in order to do that, this board would have to, on the UDO, meet in September and make some kind of recommendation. And if that happens, then in October, the Board of Commissioners could hold their public hearing, then that would give them a chance at their second meeting in October to some kind of adoption. Because one of the things that we're bumping up against is that as part of the expansion of the 12-mile wastewater plant, expansion up to 12 or whatever it might be, is that in our ordinance, we need to have some repair and buffer type requirements. So in order for them to get their permit, we need to have an ordinance in place sometime by early November. So the reason for this tight schedule is if something happens, we could still, if push came to shove, have that first meeting in November for the board, but we'd feel more confident if we could get something adopted by October. Did I thoroughly confuse everybody?
First of all, let's vote on the August 18th, okay?
Right, okay, I wanted to get all those out there, and
August 18th is 5 o'clock PM.
yeah, it starts at 5 o'clock.
So moved.
Second. Third.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Fantastic.
All right, so we will have a notified public meeting
Special meeting of the planning board on.
August 18th at 5 o'clock.
In the.
If I may, do we have an approximate idea of how long that meeting might go?
We're estimating an hour and a half.
Perfect, because I know Russell and I both have a meeting scheduled at 7 o'clock.
We're estimating an hour and a half, because there's two components to it. There's the meeting for the UDO and for the comp and transportation point. Now, again, if you have to leave, we understand, but we estimate an hour and a half.
So at that point, you would have had all 4 modules, and then shortly thereafter, you would also have something to hold in your hand that has all 4 modules together, so that you would have time to not in addition to that meeting, but, you know, when you're out there, in the field and you got a break, you're laying under a tree, you can pull that ordinance out and read it.
Yeah.
So
Sleep right.
He's unreasonable.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Chairman, the second one is, the September 2nd is taken by the board. What date
What,
in September?
what date would be good for y'all? I would like to stay away from Wednesday nights, but, if that will be agreeable with everyone, that'll be fine, or a Thursday night, or a Monday of the next week. Where do y'all have conflicts at? Because I know we've all planned our world around the first Tuesday, and so what times would not conflict with a great majority?
I would vote for the following Monday.
That's the 8th.
The 8th?
I'll make a second. I make a motion for Tuesday the 9th.
Tuesday the 9th?
I'd vote for that.
Okay, that works.
All right. We've had a motion rescinded and rearranged for September the 9th. And we've got a second on that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And all those opposed, like sign. September the 9th. Now, are you wanting another meeting in September?
No, sir, no, sir.
Or are you wanting to combine these two in conjunction, or what is the issue?
Well, what I was trying to do, and again, probably in hindsight, not a good idea, was I was trying to, depending on when y'all set that, if that community meeting that they set for the comp plan and transportation plan was before that, if for those members that desired to hear more about the comp plan, it just gave you another chance to hear the comp plan.
But the good news is that if you're coming on the 18th, you're gonna get the information on the comp plan. The community meeting that they're going to schedule sometime in September will just be rehashing the information you would have already seen on the 18th. So if you can come on the 18th, you're gonna get all you need to know.
My question is this: if we would go to the community meeting, can we go en masse but not have a? I mean, are we like the county commissioners? Can we all be present and not be co-joined?
I'll be honest with you, Dick. We've gotten some legal opinions that, you know, if this is not a meeting of the planning board and you're there as citizens, then you're there. Now, you shouldn't be congregating, you shouldn't be discussing anything, you know, so 4 of you don't need to be together talking about anything, because that could be construed as a, you know, a quorum. But when you have a meeting that is not your meeting, and you attend, you're citizens. You're allowed to do those things. Now, understand, if it's a meeting, then that's a whole different ballgame. If it's your meeting, go ahead. I think you're okay with attending that. What would be best is if you let us know that you're going to be attending, so that if we have to, we can just put something in the paper, and that way it covers it anyway. So if we know in advance that there's gonna be potentially quorum there, we can advertise that a quorum may be present at the meeting, and then you're okay. But if you show up as citizens, you're citizens. You know, so that's really up to you. I caution you, you know, to not go as a quorum, but there's nothing that prevents you from going to a meeting where you're going as a citizen and not as a board.
You will let
It would be
you.
hard for us, as we talked about, it'd be hard for us to schedule that, because they haven't set that meeting, so, the night works out fine.
All right, on the 9th, will you be able to tell us when that meeting probably will be? And it probably will not be before our meeting.
Probably not, but on the 9th, I could let you know, when that meeting is, and at that time, they could,
Yes.
if there's
nothing
4 more
more
that
to
wants to go, then we could, as long as we got, 48 hours, then we could do that.
And we may know before the night.
And if you do, if you could let us all know.
So if, on that schedule, then on the 18th, you'll hear this. On the 9th of September, we'll come back, especially with the UDO, again, since, this will be the 4th module of a recommendation, and also hopefully a recommendation on the comp plan and the transportation plan. But the more critical one of that, the real tight deadline is the UDO. But if they could move forward and together, it would be a lot better. But if there is some slippage, hopefully it will be just with the comp plan and transportation plan, not the UDO.
So you're talking about combining these two September meetings together? Is it-
No.
We just have to have a, community meeting for the common transportation plan, and what we're hoping is that we can get that scheduled, and if anyone want to attend that, you can obviously attend that, you don't have to. That's the only reason it's on there, because we really don't know the date of that meeting, and at the time, we didn't know when you wanted to have your rescheduled September meeting. So no, we're not combining those two.
So, August 18th, 5 o'clock in the personnel training room, September 9th, back here for our regular meeting. The main focus of it will be UDO, comp plan, transportation plan. I think we'll have, maybe Roger will have one subdivision, but we'll have a lot of time to concentrate on those, hopefully get a recommendation, and then if not, we'll know when the comp plan and transportation plan has theirs, do something to attend that, and hopefully I'll be comfortable with all three documents.
A rezoning or a plat review?
That's a plat. Well, I guess we still have some time, right? Other things can be, yeah. Right now, we only know of one subdivision.
It might be two. Small.
But thank you, I appreciate y'all working with me on kind of a confusing matter.
Thank you for confusing us on a rather confusing matter. Do we have any comments?
What are we allowed to say in comments?
We'd like for to pertain to county business.
Putting this thing aside, county business wise, you can't, whatever it is, this development wise, guys, you cannot efficiently, with water and sewer, do 1 acre lots. The cost is not effective for any developer. I don't care if these guys too tied to putt to put 1 acre tracts with water and sewer and $200 curbs, gutters, and streets, it won't work. You can't do it. So we're totally, now this, the UDO will take care of this, but between now and then, you can't develop lots on R40 with water and sewer. You can with well and septic, or county water and septic, but not with sewer. Time you run the lines, the cost is not effective. You'd have to have $600,000-$700,000 houses in a development like this, or anywhere down 84, and until you get down to Weddington, it ain't gonna happen. And you're back into Weddington, you're back into Wesley Chapel. What you said earlier is absolutely true. We've got to cost effectively do the right thing for the county, and there's land in this county with water and sewer, and if we don't develop it properly, it's a misuse of the capacity of our water and sewer, period. So, you guys can take it for whatever you want. You can be upset about schools. You can be upset about everything under the sun. We still have to look at doing things the right way for what's available to them. The schools will grow, they're going to do what they're gonna do, we can't change that. This county's gonna grow, we can't change that, so, you know.
Well, I understand what you're saying, Russell. I think we, or predecessors of ours, developed a land use plan with an understanding that there will be growth, and certain areas were designated R40 for a reason, certain areas were designated R20 for a reason, and until we look at those reasons, I think that we have to assume that those decisions were made with logic and some sort of plan for logical growth, not just arbitrarily, as in the case where Weddington just said everything is R40. And there's no commercial, there's no anything but R40 in Weddington.
Fairview said everything's 4 acres. So, you know, that's not true. Everything was R40 in every county in the United States. 1 acre lots per, that's just how it's been zoned And these guys, am I not right? You got R40 zoning in about every county in the state, right?
Those are 40. I'm just saying that certain areas within Union County are designated for different types of growth.
Your urban, metro area doesn't have R40. Your urban counties don't, but I imagine
A lot of
a lot of the rural
Yeah,
counties.
most rural counties do. You know, what is a field, what are these counties zoned if they're not zoned R40? Or they have
Well, and
absolutely
the question is,
no zone,
do we
right?
want to be another Mecklenburg County? Do we want houses stacked on top of each
Yeah,
other?
my argument's
And-
always been, y'all, people move out here or move down here from out another part of the United States. I moved here from Indiana. I live in Lake Park. But I mean, we move in and we're the last ones that move. We don't want any more growth. That lady that sat out there tonight and discussed the fact that she lives in a smaller lot than this, but I don't want lots behind me, that makes no sense. But now Weddington has a right to do what they did. Wesley Chapel has a right. That's why you have, but we are dealing with what we're dealing with now. And you cannot use water and sewer and use it, it's not good use of it. I don't care what Wesley Chapel Weddington did.
No, but understanding what she was saying is that she knows that there's going to be growth. It's just how much growth, what density is that growth? And I think she has, I mean, granted, she lives in a smaller lot than what they're proposing, but her point was that she's going to have twice as many people behind her as what she anticipated when she bought that lot.
She didn't anticipate anything. She
Well,
thought there'd be corn in there for the next.
Well, no, she did say that she hoped there would be, but knew that there wouldn't be.
Is that a farmer joke? Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
permission to speak freely if you don't mind.
Yes, sir. We're all being bluntly honest.
Russell said he moved here from Indiana. I moved from all over to come here.
Many
And
places.
I have a nice lot next to a house that is not so nice. But we chose that, and we knew that. But what's got me concerned, and I gotta be upfront with y'all, I will tell you exactly how I felt. Because I want all the cards on the table. So when I go home tonight, I can put my head on the pillow. I was ready to vote yes on this. The lady that got up in the pink that stood over here, and she told us about the subdivision that was down the street. I live that daily in Waxhaw, going up Providence, coming off Bonds Grove Road, coming up by CMC Waxhaw Medical Center. There was a wreck the other day on a Thursday morning. It took them an hour and a half to clear it rather. And it's because the growth is so fantastic, but there's no traffic lights. There's no 4-lane roads. 4-lane stops up Weddington, I think it is, and you can't get in and out. I'm being very honest with you. And after hearing her, and I do appreciate seeing where the roundabout went, but I think that, and I'm all for business. There's nobody more pro-business than I am. I am pro-business, and I serve on the Small Town Main Street Committee of Waxhaw as the chair of that advisory committee. But I think that they kept talking about, well, there's 100 houses here, and then we got it up to 193, and we don't know this, you know. And I understand we can't have specifics. I appreciate that more than anything. And I thought the gentleman, Dan, I believe was his name, I thought he answered a lot of questions, did a lot of homework and things of this nature. But he didn't address the lady back in the back, the watershed question. I've lived on a lot where it was approved that the water's done right, everything's fine, and my house flooded because it wasn't done right. And it was okay to put a smaller drain up from my house about half a mile than what should have gone in. And it was not in this state, but there's things that happen out there. And I would have probably voted yes had I not heard this lady talk about traffic, because I live it every day. You cannot get down the main street of Waxhaw for 18-wheelers and things of this nature because there's no easy way to get in and out of Waxhaw with an 18-wheeler. The state is not going to spend any more money on bypasses or anything for who knows when, based on what I've been told. So I love agriculture. I used to raise registered Pole Hereford cattle with my dad, and I agree we don't need to destroy agriculture land, but I think that to go in and do what he did right here, I appreciate this, but to just cram it in there and, you know, I'm worried, somebody asked about fire trucks, somebody asked about, you know, safety, et cetera. That's another concern. In Curitan, you can't get a fire truck down the streets because the cars, 2 and 3 cars are parked in front of houses. If you got to stop at the other end of the block to let this car that's coming this way, you got to stop down there so they can get by before you can get down and hope that there's not another car coming by. And these are the things that bother me as we go forward and all that I wonder about. So I need some help from experienced people like yourself to say, Don, you're looking at it wrong, or you're looking at it right, or you're expecting too much, or what? Because I want to be right. I want to do a good job for the board, for you guys, for the people that sit out there. I don't want to be a naysayer, but I'm opening up my heart to you to tell you, what am I doing wrong? Am I feeling right? I don't want to walk out of here and you guys, as you get on your cell phone, boy, that old Don Fisher, he's such a jerk. I don't want any of that. I want you to tell me to my face, where am I wrong, folks?
I don't think you're wrong at all, Don.
I don't think you're wrong at all. I agree with you. I think DOT just can't keep up with all the subdivisions that are being put in. I mean, Waxhaw just approved, they have 2,000 houses going in Waxhaw.
Yep.
Weddington just approved 600 houses.
And it's not about Waxhaw, and I want you to understand it, but it resonated with me what she was going through. So I just need somebody to tell me. I appreciate what you said, Bruce, about don't worry about the specifics, but you can't help but some way, you know, be thinking that in the back of your mind. And I don't want to cause anybody not to make a sale on a house. I don't want to cause anybody not to develop or anything like that. I just got to know that I make the right decision.
And I understand perfectly. I wrestle with that myself. I understand.
Well, I think that's something that we all wrestle with, and I think we all should wrestle with. I mean, this isn't 2 hours of, you know, come in, listen to somebody speak, and then say yes. I mean, I like you, Don, I put a lot of thought into, you know, each one of these subdivisions. If I had to live in that subdivision or I had to live around that subdivision, what would I want to see? How would I want to see that develop? And when I look at this subdivision, especially knowing that there will be another subdivision across the street with a roundabout and an enormous amount of traffic, I mean, just picture 8 o'clock in the morning with everybody trying to get out of this subdivision with virtually one entrance and one exit. They're going to be lined up halfway down the street, and
Going in down the street.
they're going to be cutting through Wilhelms Drive. And I'm thinking, if I own one of those pieces of property, I'd be selling. I'd be, if it were approved, I'd be putting my house up for sale. So
Plus you have another 105 houses going in down the street. The
exactly,
lady was saying too, so.
and, you know, and those are the concerns that I have to look at. Is that, you know, can a builder make money at half the number of houses? I believe they can. Will they make as much money? No, but we have to balance what's good for the public and what's good for the individual homeowners versus what's good for the builders. And like you, I don't begrudge them making money. You know, we need builders, we need growth, we need all the things that they provide, but it has to be done responsibly. And those are the decisions that I wrestle with, is how do we do this responsibly? And we're in charge of being the voice of logic, the voice of reason that says, you know, we need to have these builders do this responsibly. And part of it falls back on us as county representatives to make sure that that happens.
DODO will stop, will fix a lot of this, period. So, once the UDO is passed, this will take care of this. You know, like I said earlier, we're dealing with what we gotta deal with for the next couple months. These guys tonight on just this one issue, they said we should take this. The last time we turned it down, the commissioners said they should take it. So, and they've approved it based on what they felt was best. So, I mean, we can turn it down, commissioners can approve this. By the time they bring it back to us, the UDO will be in, and, but this will still be in R20 zoning at that point, if the county commissioners do approve it, so. And who knows, we'll just have to wait and see what they do with it at this point.
And maybe they will, and maybe they'll
Maybe they
listen
won't.
to.
But the best
what we're
use, as I
suggesting.
said the last time, the best use for some of this land is what they're proposing to use it for. You can say put 1 acre on this, but as you said earlier, the 1 acre is not the best use for that piece of land. There's some land in the county, 1 acre, 2 acre, 5 acres are best use, no doubt in my mind, because we get them zoned like that all the time. But that right there is, as I said last month for that other piece, it was the best use for that piece of property.
And you have to consider that you have water and sewer that are already on the property or adjacent to the property, and it's not gonna be a major cost to the county, and that's what I say. We can't, if you approve this one and you approve that one and you say, no, we're just getting too many houses and all, we can't deny this man who's last not to have the same opportunity as he is. That's my thinking, but it goes back to what I say, the growth is gonna happen if you would keep it concentrated in areas where you have the water and the sewer, and and people want to be around shopping facilities and that sort of thing. If you keep it there, then you have the best and greatest use of your land instead of 1 acre, because it's just going to be sprawl. In my opinion, but I wrestle the same thing you do, because those folks were there first. Unfortunately, it's not their land. Jim, you wanted to say something? I didn't mean to hold you.
No, that's fine. I've wrestled it myself over this a lot. I'm very sympathetic to what the lady said right there and the lady in the back. But you know, bless her heart, the lady in the back, she's living on if the number is right, she's living on a 1/4 of an acre lot. These are bigger. Dollar to a donut, when the developer developed her.
The TV is still on now, isn't
Somebody could have said the same thing. I wrestle with this whole growth thing. I've lived here all my life. And, you know, it's tough, but you're not gonna stop it, you're gonna manage it. We have to make decisions on these requests based on what we're given and what the laws are, what the ordinances are today. Good, bad, or indifferent, that's what we have to do. I look forward to something, a better program. And I will say this publicly, thank goodness for the program the county has today versus what Waxhaw has, because we are the county is so far ahead, it's pathetic. I live in Waxhaw, it's very frustrating.
Yes, gentlemen?
I appreciate everybody's comments tonight. I actually appreciate, and I mean this sincerely, I'm not being sarcastic at all, the education that I'm getting from the comments, especially that Russell made with regard to the expense with waste and sewer, not being cost effective for 1 acre lots, 1 home per 1 acre. I'm big on property owner rights. I feel that people should be able to do what they want with their property. It's one of the reasons why I'm thrilled to serve on this board, but I'm also concerned with what they may do can impact the values of the adjacent property owners, but still, you really don't have a right to expect anything outside of your own property, in my opinion, a lot of the time. But when I listen to Robert's comments, when I listen to Don's, I tend to agree with that as well with regard to the infrastructure, the traffic, the school. The seal behind us says planned progress, not prodigious progress. And that's sort of what it seems like at this particular tract that we're starting to have right there. It's just everything is happening at once within about 3/4 of a mile, or within a mile. And that's just an awful lot to have happening right there in one time. It just seems like it's too much. So I voted against the one for last month. I felt like I couldn't really come back now as we listened to the facts and turn around and change my vote on this one. I felt that would have been unfair to the first property owner, but I appreciate the opportunity.
The only, real quick, the only difference is a PUD and what we had tonight is a whole different can of worms. This was a half-acre lot opposed to a PUD. This is a different zoning totally than what we turned down last month. It's a total different zoning, so.
But it was approved. County commissioners approved it, PUD, even though we gave a recommendation that was, not favorable. They approved it anyway. It's just, I think the traffic in Union County is horrendous right now. And the more the housing developments go in, the worse it's going to get. DOT cannot keep up with the amount of housing that's going up right now. I moved into my neighborhood 10 years ago. I live in Weddington. I'm on 1.5 acres. I can't get out of my development now. The traffic is horrendous. I used to be able to pull up and I didn't have to look both ways. I could just pull out because I knew there was nothing coming. Now people are pulling into the neighborhood. It's a gated community, but they come in and there's a turnaround by the supposedly a guardhouse. They pull through there and they turn around to go the other way so they don't have to wait for the traffic. With the development that was approved last night, and then if this one gets approved, and with this one-lane circle that's going in, I'll find other ways to get down here. I can't see that. I mean, it's just too much. DOT needs to step it up and get on the ball. I mean, when they widened Providence Road, my feeling was they should have went right down to Waxhaw with it instead of stopping at Ray Road. It would have been a heck of a lot easier for people getting in and out and getting down and stuff. When I moved in to my neighborhood, from Ray Road down to Waxhaw, they called it the Golden Mile because there was just development after development after development just going in left and right. And that was 10 years ago. And now, again, Waxhaw just approved 2,000 more houses. 2,000 houses, that's minimum 4,000 more cars on the road in that area. And that's what I see here with this, with the PUD across the street and now this one. And then like the lady said, there's another 105 houses going down the street. I mean, this road already is jam-packed.
Just as a point of interest, Mr. Chair, and for the staff, we just got research in. Within a 5-mile radius of downtown Waxhaw, by 2017, there'll be 37,000 people. 5-mile radius downtown.
Great deal of problems.
Mr. Chairman, may I say something?
Yes, sir.
I think it's really difficult, that you hear staff gives information, you hear the petitioner give information, you hear citizens with their different concerns, and you rely on your experience, you hear the comments of your fellow board members. And I think the only thing you can do is have an open mind, get as much information, and then try to make that decision you think is for the public good. I know it's hard to define what's good for Union County, but I watched this board, y'all struggle with these things, y'all done good, y'all discussed them. I haven't seen any kind of trends and stuff. Y'all take each one of them, listen to the information. And I think y'all done a really good job. And I think collectively, you might, well, I do the right thing this time. But hopefully, as a group, the information that the board is making the good decisions. And so I think you can just, like you said, listen to the information, based on your experience, what you've heard, and then try to make the best decision you can. And I think that's all you can ask of board members. And I think y'all are doing an excellent job of you're struggling, you're, looking at both sides and trying to come up with what you think the best thing is. And so I commend you, and I think that, and hopefully we'll get better. I mean, we've got a few zoning cases, you get some experience and stuff, and so hopefully in the future, if we can deal with more and more of these, we'll be more comfortable, we'll get better, Maybe we don't always make the right decision, but, we went at it and we did the best we could. So I like to commend you, and I think you're doing a good job, and just listen to the information, and vote your heart, what you think will be good for Union County. That's all, I want to say that to you. I know hopefully did I make the right decision without, too much this way or that way, but just, do what you've been doing, and I think we'll get there. Thank you.
I'll entertain them.
Real quick.
Yes, sir.
Brian has a
One thing
question.
about everything on this side of Union County, but the Indian Trail, Waxhaw, all this, the growth, the roads are packed, there's no doubt. So we either say we're gonna totally stop till the DOT goes ahead, or we try to plan what we're doing and do it in the proper way. But we can't stop, we either stop growth by saying there's no sewer capacity or water capacity, we stop growth. But if we brought CMUD in to take over the sewers, and we've got water capacity, what they say, a 2-foot line down through there, so there's plenty of water pressure, you're gonna have to allow some of this stuff to happen. Or we stop growth. We just say, hey, we ain't gonna pass anything. Because there's no, the 74's got traffic. I drive it every day. You drive it every day. We're there. We're on that end, the Indian Trail end. Indian Trail disapproved, I don't know how many, 1,500 apartments. I mean, their traffic is going to be on this end of the county. We're there. I think what we need to do, and we've got 4 ears now that'll listen, we need to talk to Raleigh and say, guys, help us out. Go to DC, help us out. Talk to these people and say, we need some help. We can't get a stinking bypass put in. That's been approved, and our tax dollars has spent thousands upon thousands upon thousands. Not only buying real estate, guys, but all the survey work, everything that's been done. So trying to get roads widened, trying to get all this stuff done. With all these environmental wackos we got out here now, it's hard. We say, why don't they fix this? It isn't easy to get this stuff fixed.
I knew
We
this.
can get mad at these people, but this is not, these guys to tell you, it ain't easy. Every time they want to fix a 4-lane road, you think how much people going down Independence have been affected, how many businesses, all the stuff that Charlotte's done to get Independence where the traffic will flow, but all those businesses, everything that's happened, the car lots are moving out on Independence now. Everything, it's a mess. But, and like you said, they don't even have R40 zoning in Mecklenburg County. They don't have, they just take it each time, but they've got some planning up there that's unbelievable, and that's what these guys are trying to fix. And I understand. We've talked about it. I've seen this happen in other areas. But we're the only stopgap right here, but we can't stop growth, or we just say we ain't gonna zone anything. We gotta look at these things, each one. The schools are gonna grow. I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but you cannot stop